Hi, this is Mike Tonchik, President of Dairyland Electrical Industries. Thanks for joining. We're glad to introduce the PCRX and tell you this story. First, let me tell you about corrosion and safety and how the PCRX relates to that. CP professionals have to have effective cathodic protection systems with DC isolation of their cathodically protected structure. They also need, whether they realize it or not, protection from overvoltage conditions due to AC faults, lightning, and steady-state AC induction. Well, that's what decouplers do, and Dairyland invented solid-state decouplers about 30 years ago for use around the world, and the products have been very well accepted and wide used. They do that exact function of blocking DC and passing AC and providing overvoltage protection, and these have proven to be very rugged, reliable products. A decoupler, in case you're not familiar with it, is that safety device used on a CP system to continue to block DC for effectiveness with cathodic protection, and it also mitigates steady-state AC and provides overvoltage protection for the extreme conditions like faults and lightning. Examples of solid-state decouplers that Dairyland has produced over the years, are still in current production, would be the PCR, the SSD, and the PCRH. These are all effectively the same kind of device. Some are adapted for Div 2 or Zone 2 hazardous locations, while others for Div or Zone 1, in different form factors and in different ratings. But they all have that same intended function that I described. Now let's get to other things that are done on pipeline systems. And one notable measurement event that occurs in a pipeline is an interrupted survey. And that's for the purpose of verifying the cathodic protection is effective on a pipeline, and that's done even though it's a non-contact test. And in that environment, sometimes decouplers are present. In fact, frequently they are present, and that brings us to the need for the PCRX. First, what's the issue? Well, people have found that there may be a delayed response during an off potential cycle. While rectifiers are cycling, they're all synchronously being interrupted, and they find values that don't make sense. They find excessively electronegative readings, and they're not quite clear why does that occur. The basic answer to that question is it's an issue of capacitance. The capacitive effect, which is part of a decoupler's function, is causing the issue. The decoupler's capacitance is needed because that's how AC mitigation is accomplished. The capacitance provides a low impedance path that allows AC current to flow and collapses the AC voltage for those pipelines affected by steady-state AC. The problem is significant capacitance opposes a rapid change in potentials, so therefore a interrupted survey sees those effects as a slowed response, and then any absolute values that are captured are too electronegative. Let me explain what Dairyland has done to address this issue. The first reports we received about this kind of a phenomena occurred perhaps about 2007, with occasional reports about strange readings, maybe unexplained readings on pipelines, and oh, by the way, a decoupler happened to be nearby. By the time we heard enough of that, we put it together, realized that more study was needed, and we commissioned several studies and reports. We also did a survey in the field just to determine what that effect was and be able to kind of get our hands around that. It involved quite a number of hours of research, both internally and with external experts as well. After a few years, we had developed attempted methods as to how we might address that. We tried various methods such as changing the capacitance, using some kind of switching, synchronized switching technology approach, and that was just rejected as unacceptable. It didn't work. By now we're up to 2011. Then, starting in 2011, we realized and developed a comprehensive approach that could address this issue. It was an iterative approach where different phases of the design had to happen in order, and it took a couple years to actually accomplish that, but by 2013, a device was created. It was then brought to the field and tested, and it worked. Future years involved iterations of that same design. We didn't come up with a new approach. We were just refining that same approach, but it took a bit of redesign and then field testing to verify that it was working and that new changes were also employed and not affecting the design. So we accomplished that through a series of years, bringing us all the way to 2019, where the design was finalized, a final conforming product was made. It was tested with fault current and lightning in the labs and went through UL certification. And by that point, the product was finalized. And that actually carries over into 2020. The way we validated this product was in each of those years that I mentioned, the product was brought to the field in a number of different pipeline situations, tested under different conditions, of different arrangements of products connected and not connected, to verify that the product works as intended and it has the ability to overcome this off potential delay. Here's the particulars on the product. The product performs all of the things that are known in Dairyland decouplers at present. It provides that safety grounding and overvoltage protection. It does AC steady state mitigation while blocking DC voltage from cathodic protection systems. It meets safety grounding codes and requirements and is third-party certified. So you'll see the UL symbol on the product. The thing that's unique is the camouflage nature of this product. Now, I'd love to say that our product will ship with that nice camo cover on the device, but it's actually not going to have that. I wish it did. But camouflage is that effective hiding of the product during the response to AC or to DC responses. It properly takes care of AC that's present. And it also looks fairly invisible to a changing DC waveform. So we would say it's basically camouflaged. How do we do that? Well, it is a proprietary approach that we took. However, the basic function of the product is everything that is known about a standard decoupler and its performance is in this product. It is a solid state, overvoltage protection, DC blocking, AC mitigating device. But what's unique is that it has overcome the capacitive effects that have troubled these kinds of measurements in the past. It does allow for accurate measurements of potentials, and it can be done in a timely manner so that surveys are effective. Here's an example from the field, an actual waveform from measurements. This would represent the as-found condition with conventional decouplers on a pipeline. You can see potentials graphed against time on this, showing the on and off portions of the waveform. What you'll notice is that there's a slow response to an off waveform. It isn't the fastest response, so we're looking for an improvement over this. Here we see in the orange line the voltage versus time when the decoupler has been completely removed in the case of this particular test site. And you'll see a much faster response and the possibility of obtaining an off potential. But this is one where, again, the decouplers have been removed. Now we've inserted a third line. Hopefully you can see this on the screen. There's a gray colored line that has been inserted. That's the PCRX response. You will note that effectively it is sitting on top of the line that is graphing the response on this particular pipeline as if there was no decoupler present. So effectively, the addition of the PCRX is just like as if there's no decoupler at all during an interrupted survey. And yet at the same time, it's accomplishing AC mitigation and it's providing overvoltage protection should there be a significant event on the pipeline. To repeat some of the things that this product is capable of, it does have the ability to overcome the capacitive effect and provide accurate interrupted readings. It still keeps all of the features that people know about with Dairyland products, which is it is a fail-safe device, assuring safety grounding under every condition, even if the product were to fail. The product is maintenance-free like our other devices. Nothing has to be done with the device. It is fully third-party certified, so it has a UL approval for this product design, guaranteeing that what we're claiming actually is verified. We are an ISO 9001 certified company, so actually all of our processes are audited and well documented to assure consistent quality. We're also known for reliable service and support. So we're very free with our time, whether it's commercial or technical data, to assist clients. Let me explain the PCRX ratings. It has AC fault current capability up to substantial levels. We're known for having decouplers that are up to about 15 kA of AC fault current. This product will have that same capability. For steady state AC induction, the product is rated up to 45 amps AC continuous. The blocking value, blocking threshold, is the same as other Dairyland devices. Several volts is the typical value. It will be a NEMA 4X environmental rating, so consider that to be above grade rainproof conditions. It is certified for Class 1 Div 2 hazardous locations. And the enclosure is a powder-coated stainless steel. Let me cover some of the things that are asked about the PCRX and attempt to address interests and questions that you may have also. First, I'll start with the hardest question. How would you know if you need a conventional decoupler versus a PCRX? That actually is a great question because it's a complex question, a complex issue, because it relates to coatings and soil and pipeline characteristics. It could involve interference and proximity. We have general guidance, but we aren't providing site-specific guidance. That's where we're looking for industry to provide additional research and plot out some of these kinds of variables. But we know that pipelines that have very good coating, high resistance coating, generally have more of these problems. Also, longer pipelines have this as compared to, shorter pipelines actually look more isolated from earth and longer, and smaller diameter as compared to larger. But we've absolutely come across issues on long, large diameter pipelines. Again, industry research is needed to help quantify some of these variables. But Dairyland is familiar with the issues. We are also establishing and evaluating possible test device options that would allow for site pre-evaluation. Next, how would you test this device? Well, the good news is it's tested similar to our other solid-state decouplers. But I have an even simpler approach for you than that. What we tell people now with conventional decouplers is don't worry about the product performance. Very, very few of these products have ever failed among the many tens of thousands, even beyond 100,000 decouplers out there around the world. The simplest way to look at product performance and functionality is just to monitor your CP system itself. If CP potentials are in the normal or acceptable range, whatever is historical for your pipeline, then the product is working. The reason is, if the product were failed shorted, you would see that in your cathodic protection readings. There are tests of the product that we outline in our instructions that use an ohm meter, and they're very simple. They're actually just like a standard decoupler would be tested. A question might be, will this fit inside the Dairyland pedestal? Because that's a very common means of mounting a Dairyland product. The answer is yes. The only thing that's unusual is this product will probably be mounted upside down with the terminals pointing up, just to give access to the terminals because the product is slightly larger than our other decouplers. Would you need an isolation switch with a PCRX? The answer to this is, if the isolation switch was there for the purpose of interrupting the decoupler to obtain an accurate polarized potential, then the answer is no, you would not need to add the switch for that reason. However, if there was a different reason that you wanted isolation, maybe for just safety disconnect or isolation for testing or some other purpose, then it's possible that you may want to add one. The lifetime of the PCRX, well, it's built the same way our other devices are. Everything is thoroughly tested and UL certified, so it's gone through fault testing, lightning testing, as well as routine factory tests. to establish that it's a substantial design in excess of the conditions that would be put on it in the field. So we expect the lifetime of the PCRX to be similar to our other devices. It's been thoroughly vetted. And a question that we hadn't thought of, but somebody asked us, well, does that mean that you're getting rid of your conventional decouplers, the standard devices like a PCR or an SSD, because we're coming out with the PCRX? And the answer is no. We'll continue these product lines into the future. Thanks for listening to this presentation about the PCRX, and if you have questions, please do contact us. Look at our information on the website at Dairyland.com.